Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great day so far and had a wonderful week. Today we have a special item on the menu. We are looking at an ATK. I'm excited to talk about this. Let's get to it. What is that racket? Let's go see what's going on. What are you doing?
TK.
What?
I thought we were talking about TK.
TK. No, I said we're talking about an ATK.
Oh. Okay. Awesome. Oh, good. America's Test Kitchen. What are we making?
No, that's not what ATK stands for. It stands for Auto Top-Off Kit. Here, come here. I'll show you, okay? See, this is ATK, Auto Top-Off Kit.
Oh, should I just go change that?
Yeah, you can go change.
All right,
Thanks, dear. Okay, so this is what we're looking at. The Neptune Systems Auto Top-Off Kit version 2. Let's get going. Alright guys, so let's take a look at the ATK from Neptune Systems, the Auto Top-Off Kit. Let's open it up. I'm excited to have it. Get something really nice into my reservoir so I can really make sure that this tank is getting topped off on a daily basis on what I need. Right now I'm evaporating quite a bit of water. I want to make sure that my tank is as stable as possible, which means I want to get this bad boy on there. So every day I have it topped off. I have my salinity stable, my water is stable height-wise, so my skimmer is working properly non-stop, and everything else is just working in tandem with each other. So as always, they like to seal their products really nicely. Let's get out the knife and open this up. Alright, so there's a lot of pluses to the Neptune system. You get a lot of bang for your buck here. There's a lot of perks to this unit that you're not going to find anywhere else with any other unit out there. So let's go over what we get here in this kit. And obviously, I don't have a Neptune Systems Apex of any kind. Neptune, cough, cough, wink, wink. I don't have it, so this is a standalone unit. You can use it without an Apex, so don't worry, non-Apex purchasers at this time. You can still utilize this on your system and still get some amazing benefits out of it. I'm really excited to get this on the system and test everything out. Get a Neptune sticker. We'll put that somewhere. Our little quick start guide. You get a lot of tubing here, orange tubing, which is very nice because, you know, the Broncos and yeah. And then we're going to get a few other items here, which are going to be the main unit as far as our float switch goes. We have 3 sensors on this thing. 3 of them. 3 backups, fail-safes, preventions, whatever you want to call it. We have our main sensor, which is optical right here. This is going to be where your water level sits at. We have a secondary sensor, which is where it's going to stop if it gets too full and this sensor for some reason fails. If this second sensor fails, we have another backup, which is this manual float switch. So that way when we put our tubing in here and our water is coming in, if these both fail here, this will start to raise up, close off this little port here, and cause everything to shut down. And then there's even one more fail-safe that you can't see. It's in the brain. It's in the mechanism here. It's going to start an algorithm and start calculating how long, how fast, and how much time it needs to take from when that pump turns on to when it hits the sensor to turn back off. So it's going to start running these calculations and give you an average. So if this takes 10 seconds to fill up, it's going to start that average, and that way it'll tell the system, hey, if we start going over 10 seconds, we need to shut down as well because this is more than what this tank is used to. So that is really cool. So we've technically got 3 fail-safes on this unit. So I'm not too concerned about overflowing my tank, which, if you all know, if you're in this hobby, overflowing that tank diluting your salt salinity inside the system is detrimental to our corals, detrimental to our fish. If we're putting thousands and thousands of thousands into these tanks, we want to make sure that we have those fail safes. I mentioned it before in my other videos, fail safes, backups. It's always ideal and preferred to have something so that way you know you're protected if anything does happen. If this first sensor fails, I know I've got this sensor to back up. If this fails, I've got this to back up. I've got the IQ fill to back me up. So I'm good to go with this. I'm not concerned about this whatsoever. It does have a magnetic holder, so this is really nice, so we don't have to worry about suction cups falling off or anything of that nature. Be very careful, obviously, with magnets, as you can always pinch yourself. So we've got this unit. We have the main module here, which is what everything's going to connect into, the FMM module. So we have this. The nice thing about this is we have 4 ports here down on the bottom. We have 2 that are going to be taken up by the optical, 1 to plug into our pump, and then obviously a power port. So we actually have 2 sensors here that aren't being used, and obviously the Aquabus. If you do have an Apex, you would use one of the Aquabus connectors here to connect to your Apex, but for us that don't have them, we're not going to be utilizing those. But I can actually utilize these 2 other sensors, which is really awesome. I can put on a 3rd sensor if I want to put it in my reservoirs. That way my reservoir will never go empty and run this pump dry. So that is really awesome, and I'm definitely going to be getting, because the last thing we want to do is run these pumps dry, kill them, and destroy all our investment. So the 3rd port then we could utilize for a leak detection, or if you have an Apex, you'd use it for a fluid monitoring system with the flow sensor. So a lot of great options with this, even if you don't have the Apex. If you do have the Apex, you get even more from it. So you can't go wrong with this. We then have some John Guest speed fittings to connect everything up. We have the Aquabus cable if you do have an Apex system, our power adapter, and then we have the pump, or as Neptune likes to call it, the PMUP. Got me? I don't know, but that's just what they do. So this is a really beast of a pump. It's amazing. This is where we'll put one of our John Guest speed fittings on here to connect to our orange tubing, and then we'll plug this into the FMM module, and honestly that's all we'll have to do. We set up our optical sensors where we want our level, and we don't have to do anything. We don't have to tell it where we want it. We don't have to set anything up on a computer. Nothing. Plug it in, put it where you want it, and we're good to go. That's awesome for me. I love it. I don't want to have to be doing a ton of work for something simple as this. So that's actually really nice. Obviously, if you have the system, you can make it so it's doing mobile alerts for you. As a standalone, if for some reason something fails, it will sound an audible alarm. So that is really cool as well. But really simple. We have our utility pump. We have this little cage to make sure that no debris gets inside. And what's really nice with this cap is that you can actually set it down flat like this. It's at the bottom. With most pumps, you have to do it at the side or up top, depending on what pump you're using. This makes it so it's as close to the bottom as possible. I really appreciate that on this. One other thing that I think I'm going to be testing out is Neptune says that this can do up to 14 feet of vertical pumping. That's incredible. That means you in the basement that are going from a basement setup to a next level, or maybe even 2 levels, you still could utilize this. As long as you're 14 feet or under, this is supposed to work. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to try and put this in my reservoir down in the basement, because that would be even nicer. Than I can use this for something else. The only problem for me is my reservoir is not only in the basement, but it's on the other side of the house. So not only am I pushing up, but I'm pushing across, and I got to figure out how to get tubing from point A to point B. So that might be a little difficult for me, but I think I'm going to try it. So I'll let you know how that goes, and if I fail, which is very possible. So take a look at it. Stability. This is what this gives you, is stability. It's really easy for us in the aquarium hobby to get in a rhythm, and sometimes we get bored of that rhythm and we don't feel like topping off that day. And then one day turns into 2 days, and all of a sudden we start realizing, hey, this coral doesn't look so hot. What's going on? Oh crap, my salinity is way out the roof. So if we can get this automated, awesome. And if I can put this in my basement where I have a 30-gallon reservoir, even better. As always, let's hook it up. I'll show you what it looks like down in the system. We'll take a look at the Nio skimmer, because it's really kicking some brown gunk out, which I'm very happy about. So let's get this hooked up here. All right, guys, it is installed. You can see the pump sitting nice and flat on the bottom of this container. We have the first John Guest fitting right above it, going to the orange tubing, and then coming out the top. Now, I will mention, if your water level in the reservoir is higher than your water level in your sump, you do have to install this second John Guest, which is a siphon break. What this is going to do is basically kind of like my return I have. There's this little hole here that's water is going to be able to leak out or spray out when it's running, but then as soon as this pump stops, air will get sucked into it and make sure that there's no siphon that started from your reservoir into your sump. So that's extremely important to have there. It does need to be above your water level, which is why it's right there for me. That way when it leaks, it goes back into the reservoir. If it would be out here, just sitting out here in the no man's land, it would leak everywhere on my stand. So that's very important. If you have your water level higher than your sump, you must use a siphon break to protect yourself from that. Otherwise, we just go to the float switch unit, and then as you can see, this is the water level I want my sump at. I have my float valve that's free of anything else, so there's nothing that can block this or cause it not to raise up if necessary. This is really simple to set up. You'll just unscrew this nut, put the tubing through it, and then tighten it back down. I apologize again about the mess. Unfortunately, when I snap my fingers, I see in lots of videos people just snap their fingers. If anyone remembers Mary Poppins, you just snapped it and away it went and cleaned up. It doesn't work for me. I don't know why, but it doesn't. So I gotta clean this up still. It doesn't work, I don't know. But anyways, since I'm going to be changing this around, I'm actually just using a very simple setup. I'm gonna have the FMM module up here, just so when I go and move this, I'm not having to dismantle everything and take down the mounting bracket that comes with it. Number one goes in port number 1, 2 into port number 2. We plug in the PMUP, and then we plug in our power. This is all we need. It's plugged in, so all we have to do is flip our switch, and our status light is good to go. But look at this. This skimmer is going to town with the skim mate here. You can see how brown it is up here, and then all this gross skim mate that is pulling out top. That is disgusting. The smell is even worse. All right, guys, that's it for us. I'm going to take the little stormtrooper out, create some havoc. You have a great weekend as always. If you haven't, make sure you look in the description below. There's going to be a link for the ATK. Go check it out. Maybe pick one up this weekend. If you have any questions, let us know. Otherwise,
make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Share the video.
And we'll see you next weekend. Okay, let's go create some havoc.